Okay, so let's say this is quadrant number 1. So I'm gonna do effleurage, right? To warm all the tissue up, and then I'm gonna focus my effort of petrissage in this one quadrant. I don't wanna come down here. I don't wanna go over here. I'm focused solely here, okay? All right, so where did you find tightness? Of course, rhomboids, of course, upper track. Yep. All right, so the first effleurage stroke you are going to learn is a two-handed kneading technique. So this is how I like to think of it. You use Pac-Man hands or lobster claws, whichever you want to think of it, okay? Depending on how old you are. All right, the first one for circular kneading. You think of one hand at 12 o'clock, one hand at 6 o'clock, and I am literally picking up the tissue and they're gonna meet at 3 and 9 o'clock. Does that make sense? So I'm just picking up and moving it. Once I do that, I'm gonna pick another area, pick it up and move it, pick it up and move it. That's all I'm doing, okay? Now, everyone's gonna have a little more tissue or a little less tissue, right? Some people, there's not a lot of tissue to pick up. Other people, there's a lot of tissue, and we have to discern whether that's adipose tissue, is that actual muscle tissue, what is it? So that's where your palpation skills are gonna come into play. All right, so for circular kneading, let me get you a little petrissage, a little effleurage first. You're still warm. Thanks, I appreciate that. You would think after a while I'd be able to do this. Thank you. All right, she's good. Do you see this? See how malleable that is? All right, so let me show you something. She's still real and nice and restricted here, right? If I compare, right, pretty tight. So that's what I want. I need some outcome measures. So I'm gonna palpate and see, okay? Because I wanna know my work did something. All right, so the first one, two-handed kneading, 12 o'clock, Pac-Man hands, 6 o'clock, I'm just picking the tissue up and meeting at 3 o'clock. That's it. Pick it up and meet it. Because do you see what just happened to the tissue? I picked it from its resting state, moved it here, and then dropped it. So I've done what I need to do, okay? I don't care that it's specifically at 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock. I care that you pick it up and move it, okay? That's what I care about. So, can I come from a diagonal fashion? Of course I can. So I'm gonna use the broad base of my hand, broad strokes, instead of this finger stuff, because that feels like a pinch, right? If I do this, she cannot tell you what part of my hand I'm using. She wouldn't know, right? But if I start to dig in, it's too much pressure, you're gonna get resistance from the tissue, and it's painful, okay? So, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, pick that tissue up, move it. Pick it up, move it. Now here's where your wrist comes into play. Relax the wrist. As soon as you do this, you're fatiguing in 5 minutes, I promise. I have a really hard time with my first fingers because I try to hyperextend them to stabilize. I don't need to do that. So I just have to loosen those hands, pick it up, move it. This should be deeper work, right? Shawnee, you all right? Mm-hmm. Pick it up, move it. So I always start at 12 and 6, but somehow I'm meeting at around 3 and 9. Make sense? Do you see how I'm just moving tissue? That's what I'm trying to do. And I'm still working within this one quadrant. So I can pick up an upper trap, move it, pick it up and move it. Do you see how I'm using my body weight to pick it up and move it? I'm not using my upper body, okay? You see the skin response I'm getting? Is that okay? A little pink. Should it turn pink? Yeah. Why?
It's warming.
Yeah, that's what we want, right? Okay, so that's our two-handed kneading. Now, to get a little more tricky, we're gonna do a two-handed circular kneading, like the Karate Kid, literally. Put your hands here, exactly. You're gonna go at a diagonal and you're gonna pick the tissue up, drag it back down. Other side, pick the tissue up, drag it back down. Okay, got a little, this motion, okay? So I'm gonna pick it up, I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna pick it up, I'm gonna move it. You all right?
Mm-hmm. I can only think of the Karate Kid now.
There you go. You'll remember it. Pick it up and move it. I'm staying in that one quadrant. Pick it up, move it. Pick it up, move it. Pick it up, move it. So I can use my thumb to help pull that tissue up, but most of the work is coming from the broad side of my hand. Make sense? All right, so we got two-handed kneading. We got circular kneading. What else do we got? Skin rolling, okay? All right, so skin rolling. I'm literally picking it up, the tissue, like dough. Okay, I'm gonna pick it up, then my thumbs are gonna come together, and I'm gonna use my body weight, and I'm gonna push the skin or the tissue forward so it looks like a wave. I'm literally moving it from its stationary position away, okay? So I'm gonna pick it up. See that? My thumbs meet. I'm not doing anything with my thumbs. They're not even moving. I'm using my body weight to roll it forward. Then I pick it up. My thumbs meet. Roll it forward. Pick it up. Roll it forward. This you have to be careful. You don't want to do too less of tissue because you're going to pinch them. Get enough underneath there and really roll it. You're not going to hurt them. Unless she has osteoporosis and is 90 years old, which we're not going to do that, right? And Shauna would tell me if it hurts, right?
Totally.
Yes, and it feels just fine. So I'm picking it up and rolling it, okay? So I'm gonna find where that work needs to be done and I'm focusing right in there. I'm moving that tissue around, okay? Now let's say I did all this petrissage and I wanted to move to the second quadrant because her paraspinals are tight. Can I just leave her after what I did? I need to effleurage this out, calm it down before I move here, okay? So we always end with an effleurage stroke, no matter where we are. You can use it for a transition too. Let's say she's tight in this rhomboid too, right? I'm gonna hold my hand here and I'm just gonna walk across the table and I'm gonna do the exact same thing to maintain contact, okay? All right, let's try some petrissage strokes.
So you'll do effleurage before switching.